On FML, we celebrate founders, musicians, and the people who drive the success of founders and musicians. We often hear from our founder and musician friends that they make terrible employees. In today's episode, you find out just why the co-founder of Gambit AI, Pat Belleveau, makes a terrible employee, but the perfect founder and boss. There's a deep-rooted empathy born out of challenging life experiences. Experiences that could either kill you or make you stronger. We get to dive into how Pat recognized who he was and what he needed to be. It wasn't an easy ride, but the realization has made him stronger, healthier, and driven. Welcome to the Founders Music Lab, the home of the FML, where we talk to amazing people about how they found their lives, their purpose, and their road to happiness. I'm your founder guy, Bill Waters, and I'm joined by the music guy, Steve Lehman.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, Steve. And the coffee guy, Ed Denier.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, Ed.
It's been so long.
It has been. You've been away.
I was away.
Yeah.
I came back.
Oh, well.
I went to Colombia.
Oh, well.
And I made it back.
You did. You made it back. You brought some coffee beans with you.
I brought coffee beans, yeah. Infraganti in my suitcase. I brought about 20 kilos of green coffee to test.
Fresh coffee?
Fresh from the cooperative.
From your cooperative?
Oh, sorry. I'm looking at Bill. I can't do that.
Yeah, you can't look at me. You've got to look ahead.
Yeah, fresh from the cooperative. Literally right off of the processing chain. So it's really, really good coffee and really fresh and tasty and so innovative. That's the cooperative that we do work with.
Nice.
That's where we lease our farm to them to do all the coffee processing on the lower half of the farm. So it's, it was fun. It was exciting. It was great weather. And I came back and it snowed.
Is that your first
Welcome
batch? Is that your first batch of your own grown coffee beans that you're able to use?
Well, actually, we're not even consuming our own because when we were there, it's picking season right now. So we actually were walking the fields with the pickers and got to meet all the ladies. So our farm gets picked exclusively by women, and it's a program that's called From the Hands of Women.
But you brought some back, is what I'm saying.
I brought some back from the cooperative, but it's not from our farm.
Oh,
it's from
I see.
another.
I got you.
It's from the cooperative's stock that they have in house from other farms that have already been picked. So ours is just in picking now, and it's usually a 4 or 5 pass system. But climate change has changed how coffee works, and it's odd. Like I won't go too far into it, but a coffee plant typically blooms twice a year. Mm-hmm. Sometimes once, but more than. So what happens is it rains, it flowers, and then after that, the growth of the flower disappears and it turns into a bean and it grows. Then the cycle happens one more time in the year. Mm-hmm. Right now, there's been 7 flowerings this year, which means the plants are very confused. So the top of the plant has ripe cherries that are being picked, and the lower branches have flowers on them, and that's never been seen before. So they have no idea what the impact of it's going to be in the future. It's probably going to lower yields eventually. Mm-hmm. The plants don't know what to do anymore because their cycle has changed. And a coffee plant grows a lot of coffee beans when it's under stress. So the dry season is really dry and the coffee holds on for dear life and says, oh my God, I have to rejuvenate. And it does it with gusto. And then it throws a bunch of flowers and a bunch of beans. But now it's raining so often on and off that oh, I have to start. No, I don't. I have to start. No, I don't. So now it's going to be ugly later, but we're old and it doesn't matter.
Anyway, that's Ed.
Yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in. That's the end.
Once again, I usurped it.
Yeah. All right.
My apologies to our guest.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I'll try being with him every week for.
Not so fascinating.
No, it's great. Anyways, today we get to talk to one of the leading drivers of AI in this area. Not just AI, but AI for good. Pat Belleveau and his partners at Gambit are the masterminds behind things like Ask Ellen, Ask Todd, Ask BB, Ask Yo Mama. No, I just made that one up, but that might be next. They're discovering and building companion-based technologies that help users get the answers to the questions they are struggling to get real helpful responses to. Questions like, I just got diagnosed with breast cancer. How do I tell my children?
Yeah.
Or my wife just got diagnosed with breast cancer. How can I help her? And these questions lead to in-depth dialogue, and it enables the user to embrace clarity and guidance. I've followed the Ask Ellen one, and Ellen Winters, the gal behind it, working with the Gambit guys, and it's just truly remarkable what this does for those suffering in any periphery of breast cancer, and it makes life just a little bit easier. And so it's amazing stuff that they're doing. But this isn't just about the products, and we'll get into the products and we'll get into AI. But I really wanted to talk to Pat because I know a little bit about his background, how he grew up, how he became who he is, what he struggles with today, and how he gets through that. We'll talk a lot more about those FML things that go from fuck my life to fix my life to find my life. So with that, I'd like to welcome my good buddy, Pat Belleveau, to our coffee studio. It's actually Ed's, but we've commandeered it.
It's ours now. On Tuesday nights.
So thanks for joining us, Pat.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Really excited to chat.
Yeah. Oh, me too. Trying to nail you down is really hard, but I had to go through a whole bunch of schedulers and wife's schedules, and
There's a lot going on. Yeah.
oh, man.
You should have used his AI. It would have been a lot quicker.
I should have sent my AI. That should have. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, we'll find out. Maybe we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe we can just replace it. Like that AI singer
Yeah.
that is now
They got
signed a record deal.
Record deal. Yeah, that's huge.
Billboard. And
Yeah.
that's a little sad. We can talk about that later. Anyways, Ed, we'll let you go.
All right, so we start this thing. I'm welcoming you here to my home, and you get to see what I do.
Yeah.
I'm super curious about what other people do. I only know my space, and I'm always interested in a day in the life in your space. What does that look like? What's the structure? What's the timelines? Do you go to the office? Do you not go? Or I mean, and it could be now, it could be earlier. It doesn't really matter. I just kind of, when I meet someone, what their days are like tells me a lot more than just asking who they are. So kind of where I'm going with it.
Well, I think, man, that's a good question. I don't think I've ever been asked that question. That's a good question. So typical day, I will drive into Kitchener to our office, and we've kind of designed it a particular way because I want a particular vibe when I'm working. So I'm big on following energy, which is why it's hard to pin me down and hard to do things because this is going to sound whatever, but if I don't want to work on it, I won't. And then if I want to, then whatever I do turns out to be a lot better than if I try to drag myself through it. So every day kind of changes. Like we have set podcast times, but if I'm not into it, then we'll change it because that's just, there's like pulling stuff out of you, which is one way, but if it's actually wanting to come out, then you kind of build great tools. And like we've talked about Ask Ellen. So typically I'll come in, I have my little ritual where I have my coffee at Stockyards. I guess shout out. Inappropriate, maybe. I don't know.
Competition, but that's okay.
Nah, it's not
Well,
competition.
hopefully you fulfilled them.
We've actually collaborated
Yeah,
over
I
the
figured
years.
you
So,
might.
like, coffee's a small world,
Yeah.
and everyone has their part and their place. So it's all good.
So ritual is to go grab that. And then usually what I'll do, so we started this really cool process, which we always used to work on projects, but now we've got into this fractional side of it. And it's really neat. Like last week, I was at a leadership retreat with a company who were talking about, okay, this is what we want to do in 26. How do we operationalize that within artificial intelligence and whatever other technology we want to use? So I was at White Oaks resort, hanging out there, talking to them. I come back, I need to build a plan for them. And then we talk about, I'll talk to a couple of prospects. If there's a tool we're building, I'll be working on that. But it's super collaborative. The point of when we go to the office, Chris and I sit in the same office. And he's sort of the creative crazy genius that like builds all the technical things, and then I'm the one that takes what he builds and then positions it for our clients. And so having us in a room together is very close. And then we have Ryan, who's the actual like human centric individual that sits on purpose, not in our office, so that we can kind of go crazy and then he can chime in weird ways. So we really designed the office to be sort of its own feng shui, if you will.
Yeah. And where is the office?
In at Catalyst 137 in Kitchener.
Okay, Catalyst.
Yeah.
Nice.
So like we have a record player. I've got old school techniques going. Like there's a whole vibe to what we do. So yeah, so I'll go from that to meetings to building, and then kind of start the day all over again. But a typical day starts for me around like 5:30 and sunsets around 10ish. Not at the office, but I'll start my morning by I find that 5:30 in the morning everybody leaves you alone.
Yeah.
Kind of a fun time. And so
that's my time. I love it.
Yeah.
I love being up early.
Yeah. Everyone else is sleeping. It's great.
I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
No, I'm the other side of the world.
Yeah, but you drink coffee.
Okay. That might be
That's right. See, that's your problem.
Maybe
You need to. You'll get up earlier.
But yeah, so I don't know if that fully answers your question.
No, it does.
Yeah.
It gives me an idea. Like you're in the Catalyst, you're in your office vibe, and then
Yeah.
you do other things. And home life.
Yeah, 2 kids, 5 and 5 months.
Busy and busier.
Yeah, literally. Well, and it's a fun challenge, right? Because
Absolutely. Kids are amazing.
they're amazing, and they also need you, and so does your business. And trying to straddle that line is hard most times.
Yep.
And so what's been really nice with Sarah on our team is she'll watch that I can do drop off, and then when I have to do that sounds like I have to. I want to take them to music class, for example, tomorrow. She won't book anything knowing that I'm coming and I'm going to be there. So that's been a huge help. Is like Bill, you were joking, but like Sarah organizes my life, because without that, it's absolute chaos. So her title is actually Organized Chaos Director, because I just thought that was funny, and it's literally what she does. So
amazing.
yeah,
OCD.
exactly. Literally, I think she told me, "Pat, I'm OCD," and then that's how that started. Yeah, yeah.
Very good. That's part of your DNA is your creativity.
Well, that, and I just look at how is everybody else doing it, and then try to think, well, what if you didn't do it that way? It's kind of often I approach everything I do that way. Is if it's what everybody does, then I don't want to do it.
It's boring.
It's the entrepreneurial spirit for sure.
The founders.
I understand.
It's the founders. It's the musicians. It's the guys. That's who we are.
Mm-hmm.
We're rebels. We don't work well with others. I mean, we do, but we don't. As long as we're all respectful for each other.
Well, we collaborate well, but we don't work well, if that makes sense. So we can do collaborations with anybody, but the work side of it has to be under our own terms.
Yeah.
Or
It
else
has to be your people. You have to work with the specific people, because if you had a regular job, you're working with somebody that you're being told to work with.
Right.
And you may not be on the same page as that person.
very
but
true.
you, I would imagine, have specifically chosen the people that you're around.
It was a very careful selection of
Yeah.
the founders. Yeah,
It's going to be challenging as you get bigger.
it is. We've been. I mean, that's a crazy story. We can get into how we chose the founders.
We will,
and
but
things,
not yet.
Okay, not yet.
That's Bill's
Yeah,
department.
No.
We
But
get
like,
today with that, and then I'm going to take you back.
yeah, but we got so. Our first employee was Sarah, who was with me at the last company, and I sort of quickly figured out that she was going to be my ride or die kind of. That's why I
Once you
didn't.
find those people,
Oh, yeah.
they're gold.
And I refused to call her an executive assistant because I thought it undermined what she actually does, because I can't function without her. And so Organized Chaos Director I thought was a lot more respectful, and people are proud of their titles. So what I didn't want to do is call her an EA and bin her with everybody else, because she's not that at all.
Right.
And then our second hire, Alex, who's here, that was an interesting hiring process, because one of the things that I really wanted to do is you have to watch culture, because we worked really hard to set up a culture that works, and it's chaotic and there's tension, but there's beauty in that tension that comes out of it. We don't take anything personally. They're not personal attacks, but we're attacking the idea.
But that's part of the assessment.
Yeah.
You need to find someone who can live in a world like that.
Oh, exactly. So I spent 30 minutes with Alex-ish trying to scare her, like literally, as whatever I could say, and I could think of, I'm not going to talk about here because I would get sued. But the goal was, I wanted her to make a decision. Like we wanted to choose her, but I wanted her to choose us,
Right.
and actually us, not the like prim and proper on this thing, and like this is not at all how a day goes. Because what I don't want is those side Slack channels where like the jokes actually go, and like this weird culture of like the in person and then the off person. I didn't want it. If for now we're small enough that we can all be kind of the same genetic DNA, and she's far better at things than I am in a lot of respects, but employs the same kind of approach to, I don't take it personally. The guys are crazy. I'm part of this craziness. This is fun, as opposed to us having to try to pretend something we're not.
I think something else that that you guys do is that you are also quick to give credit where credit is due.
Oh, 100%.
Which is part of making an incredible culture. But we'll get into that.
Okay, all right.
Where I want to go right now is I want to go back to the beginning, like the absolute beginning.
Okay.
Like where was Pat when he was 5 years old, and what was he having to deal with, and what did he go through, and what sort of I want to understand the making of a Pat, the making of a founder, the making of a...
Oh, man. All right. Yeah, so grew up in Moncton, New Brunswick, and went to... We'll go on a journey, I guess, but grew up in a very chaotic household with certainly some elements of physical domination and things like that. So it sort of forces you to learn to read a room very quickly, because if you can keep everybody happy, then you're safe. And if you can't do that, well, then you're unsafe. And so I was taught sort of early but I just actually found out what the term was not that long ago, hypervigilance, which is I'm constantly looking for where my next threat is. I didn't know it at the time. It's a hell of a skill as a founder to have.
Did you, when you went to dances in high school, would you be on the wall just watching the room?
No, I usually had the girls, if we're going to be honest. That one I did all right.
You had already surveyed prior.
Yeah, we had done some homework on that one, if we're going to be honest.
Due diligence.
Yeah, a little bit.
Dance due diligence.
Yeah, that's smart.
But I knew where the exits were, and one of the big things is I always knew if everybody felt safe, and I think that's where Weirdly, I think that's where my quote-unquote game came from then, because girls would feel safe around me, because like that's just was my nature. It got bred into me to keep people around me safe. And again, makes you a really good co-founder in that way. But I was born in French, so English is my second language. And my grandpa's an entrepreneur, my dad's an entrepreneur, so I think part of that was kind of bred. But there was a lot of things I had to unlearn how to do. Being a founder or co-founder, I should say, because when you're a founder, you can do things your way. When you're co-founder, then you have three big concepts coming together that need to collaborate, which I think was the right word. And then I moved to Ontario, Oakville, in grade 11, which was really fun because I went to an English school now. So like the most I had learned in English was like, Bill had a blue ball. What color was Bill's ball? Like that was the extent. And then all of a sudden I'm being asked for a thesis and I'm a topic sentence.
Oh my.
And like math at that point didn't make sense to me in French. It certainly didn't make sense in English. And so I had to quickly figure out how the hell I was going to get through this. And so I made friends and kind of tried to figure out. ChatGPT wasn't there yet. So it forced me to, every time I thought, well, it can't get any worse, it kept finding ways of getting worse, but then I kept getting through it. So then
how did you? I mean, you're on your own.
Yeah. So a lot of it was friends. So I quickly.
Did you make friends there? Like you're a new guy in the school.
Yeah.
You're speaking this weird language.
Yeah.
Because they're not speaking French.
No, God, no. And like the French from New Brunswick is like Franglish, so it's not even really French.
Yeah.
But typically when you move I grew up in a similar childhood where I had 3 breaks in my life where we changed continents.
Yeah.
And you have to make friends quick.
You
and
don't have a
so
choice.
you're hyper vigilant. You pick out that's the person that I'm going to get along with, and boom, we're going to be friends.
Yeah.
And it may last, it may not, it may just be a stepping stone to other people, but for sure that's the way. You make friends and then you start to engage in a language that you don't know.
Like it sort of trained you in networking.
Yeah.
It goes to memory. Like I have a terrible memory, but I remember that there was a girl named Stephanie who helped me write my first essay because I had no idea what the hell I was doing, and like how to like how to structure things because I just never heard the word. So she literally sat with me. I think she just felt bad for me. It might have been a charity case, but it was cool and got through it.
But we all have those people.
Yeah.
These little angels that show up and they're looking out for you. If you're lucky to get them,
Yeah.
they're not everywhere.
Well, I think you have to have your eyes open too. In fairness, I think you have to be willing and ready to receive them, and
Right.
they have to be around. It's a two-way street.
Yeah,
It's
very
not just
much
a
so.
purely one way.
Yeah. So that's grade 11, and she got you through that. But
Yeah, and then I met my wife in grade 11. So she was a huge help because then she really took me under her wing. Then we were dating, and that's a funny story. But how we got together then. But yeah, she really helped me a ton because I didn't understand anything, and she really kind of took me along. And yeah, we've been married. Well, we've been together almost. I should know this. 20 plus years, and then married for just over 10. So
nice.
yeah,
Nice. When you find your mate,
that's it.
it got me through.
That's it.
God willing, she sticks with it.
There you go.
It's only been 36 years, so we'll find out.
Yeah.
Actually, it's been close to 55. We met in grade 2.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, in school.
Nice.
Yeah. But anyways, it's not my interview.
That's fine.
No, I'm very appreciative of spouses, especially those who commit their life to a founder, because it's a hard life.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Hard life for a wife.
No question.
That should be a book.
It's true.
I can write that book.
You could.
From which perspective? That's
Yeah.
Probably both.
Yeah.
Hey,
So-
it's 50-50. I'm fair.
So you met her in grade 11.
Yeah.
You finished out.
Yeah, so I finished high school and then got into Laurier, and then I wanted to be a psychologist because I wanted to help kids. And I thought, okay, cool, this is what I'm going to do. I get this. I walked a mile in their shoes. I just need the training. Let's go. By about year 2, I realized that if a kid walked in and told me what was going on, I was going to jail that night because I was going to just fix the problem physically. And I was like, well, this isn't going to help anything and anyone. So I need to be a little bit smarter. I didn't have the grades to get into the business school. So I actually dropped out. Went to apprenticeship school of all things for electrical, to learn how to be an electrician. So I did that for 9 months and then was a pre-apprentice for 2 years. And then realized the people actually making the money weren't on the tools that were running the business. And that's when my beginnings of like, ooh, this is kind of fun, started. So I went to Sheridan College because there was the first year that I had a BBA. And I think this is where it started for me to go opposite to what everybody kind of would do. So I knew that it was like a college offering a university degree was a joke and no one would take this seriously. Like putting that on my resume, no one was going to be like, oh, that's really cool. But I knew that they were trying to prove themselves. So I figured the co-ops would be pretty decent. And I also figured the type of people that would apply, I could be a big fish in a small pond because I'd seen at Laurier like thousands of smart kids battling for 4 jobs. I'm not going to win that, but on this side, I'm still getting the same credentials technically, BBA level, but I think that I can be a big fish in a small pond. So that got me into Innovation Norway, which is the Norwegian trade arm of.
I saw that. I was wondering, like, how the hell did you get into?
Yeah. So, well, it turns out that his name was Brady Lucas, who had gone to Sheridan College for a different degree and was a market advisor there. So they reached out to him because he's alumni, and they had an opening. So went in and got that, which was super cool. So I ended up working with them as a co-op, and then was basically just photocopying for a lot of the day. But I get bored, so then I started reading what I was photocopying, and then I'd ask like questions around like, well, hey, why are we doing this and why are we doing that? And ultimately, they said, hey, do you want to stick around? Like, do you want a full-time job? And I was like, well, I go to school. So I would go to school. I worked it out with my profs this was the nice part of like a small school where you can kind of not push your way around, but like they wanted me to succeed because they wanted the program to succeed. So it was like, I would say if you can understand incentive, you can predict behavior. And I was like, okay, cool. They're incentivized for me to succeed. Let's do this. So I'd go to school from 8 to 12 and then downtown Toronto at Yonge and Bloor from 1 to 9. And I did that in the funniest NDA I've ever signed in my life was I wasn't allowed to tell clients that I was a student, because at the time I brokered the largest deal of Norwegian farmed frozen halibut from Norway to Canada.
You gotta love those things.
It's crazy. And I was a student.
Yeah.
But it came down to understanding people. And that thing that I was taught very early is I can very quickly decipher what it is that is important to you and why is it important to you and what are you going to cling on to. And in the room, I can figure out what the energies are going on. And I have this like self-deprecating humor way of like, I'll just take it because I'm used to it. But it makes everybody kind of get easy. And then, that was cool. And then I was a market advisor for a long time, and then realized, well, I'm not Norwegian, so I'm never going to be the trade commissioner. So what the hell am I doing? I can't peak at like 27, so I need to do something else. And I bet on myself and took a job at Ford Motor Company that was not temporary, but it was contract. And so I wasn't full time. And so I took a huge pay cut. Like I think at the time, like this is like back 15 years. I think I took like a $25K pay cut to do this. And like from full time with like 6 weeks of vacation, full benefits, like the Nordics know how to do it. Anyway, and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to prove to these guys that I'm good. And I've always had a chip on my shoulder to prove to people that I was worthy. And so I went in, figured out what the job was, and then pretty quickly started writing Excel macros that could do a lot of what I had to do. And that caught the eye of the customer experience team at the time because they were just overloaded with data and they just didn't know what to do. So it was a record then. I don't know if it's still, but on my 9th week of contract, I got hired into full-time on a different team. And then that was really cool. And for 2 years, I got to do some really neat stuff, like really complicated, crazy macros that I would just learn on. Like, I'm not a developer, so I would just watch YouTube and teach myself what I needed to know. And then they put me on the road to be a district sales manager, which this is where I think the real forging of the entrepreneur journey began, because I got to work with the dealers. And the dealers are just an incredible breed of people. They're the hardest negotiators I've ever had to deal with.
Yeah.
But they're hugely successful, usually. And I'll never forget one. It was James Braden Ford, and James Braden was the owner. I walked in and I was negotiating something for his with his sales manager, and he took me aside and he's like, "Dude, you suck at this." And I was like, "Yeah, I kind of do." He's like, "That guy just walked over. Like, come on, you gotta like, what's going on?" So he gave me access to Grant Cardone training, which all of his sales staff used, and he's like, "Look, I'll just give you it. Use it, don't use it. It's up to you." Well, I consumed everything that was available. And the guy's a little extreme, so I didn't take everything, but I learned a lot about what the actual sales process is, and how to build a transaction. And so all of a sudden now it was fun, because now I was like, it was funny because the sales manager hated it because I got better and better and better. and then it was like more of a match. Like it wasn't an easy, like Pat's coming at 4
like
anymore.
You touch a pickleball,
it was like,
and now you're beating him.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what the hell is going on here? And he would look at James and be like, "You created this." And
your fault.
Yeah, and then I kind of got tired I got tired of being told like, "Hey, Pat, that's a good idea, but that's just not how we do things." And I realized, okay, I don't think I'm made for corporate, because the dealers were doing stuff. Like one of the coolest activations we did, speaks to like human psychology, but in a service area, what do you do when you're sitting there and you're waiting for your car to be fixed? Nothing, right? So we put up a most wanted poster, and we would fill in the cars that were coming in. White Ford Escape 2012, low mileage, or whatever the hell it was. Talk to sales, because that's what they're looking for. They're hot right now. The amount of conversions we did out of that was astronomical. Holy they're looking for my car? And it would flip them. And it was just, but that was fun. Like, it was different. It was, like Ford would never go for that, but the dealers, they were game. And so a buddy of mine at the time, well, we're buddies now again, was like, "Hey, we should do an electrical contracting company. Like, the business. I know the electrician. Like, I'm a master. Let's do this." Well, turns out that, he wasn't a master, so I learned a lesson in due diligence. So I left Ford, but I am thankful for it, because, look, it was the lowest point in my life for a long time, like career-wise. But had he not done that, it doesn't put me on this trajectory.
Right.
Like, because I would have still been at Ford probably, because he gave me the the like thing to go after and do, because everybody thinks about leaving their jobs. But usually you don't have something you're jumping towards. You're running away from something,
Right.
which is the wrong thing to do,
Right.
in my opinion.
Right.
You need to be running towards something. So he gave me that thing and ran towards it. And sort of thank God that it didn't work out, because I would just be a successful electrical contractor. Nothing wrong with it. But I
Yeah.
certainly wouldn't have built Askelin, and I wouldn't have done all the other things. So I always look at things when they're setbacks as like, are they setbacks though? Or are they actual requirement for you to get to where
the
you're
next
actually
level.
going?
Yeah.
And it took me a while. I hated him for a long time. And then I finally got tired of holding on to that. And I called him and we actually chatted it through. And turns out that he was having some substance issues that I didn't know about. And it was just, he was a human being. And
Yeah.
so was I. And he was afraid of telling me he had lied to me. Right. And I get that. But yeah, it took a minute to kind of get over that and do it. But it's pretty pumped once we got through that. And then it's been crazy. Like I was contracting, like just doing odd jobs contracting, because again, negotiating was always kind of part of my DNA, I guess. And I got asked to, I realized I'm down a rabbit hole. Like, is this kind of on par with what you want to hear?
Absolutely.
Here? Okay,
Yeah, no,
cool.
This is
All
exactly.
right. Okay, cool.
If you're not, I'm gonna.
Yeah, just cut me off when it gets boring.
Yeah,
No, I got a call from Dan Silvestru, local founder here that runs
Dan.
Chocolate Soup with PJ and Megan. And he's like, "Hey, man, like, I know I was friends with his brother, and his brother Chris was like, hey, you should meet my brother, etc." So he's like, "Hey, I'm going to a trade show. Can you come help me sell?" So I had nothing better to do, so I was like, "Yeah, sure." What are we selling? And we do
Sort of like Jackie Murphy's story.
a little bit. Like
Yeah.
and we had a great trade show. Like I had fun because, like, look, again, it's always about trying to do things differently. So at a trade show, what does always happen? You walk up to a booth and you go, "What do you do?" And then they're really excited that you actually stopped and wanted to hear it, that they just jump right into it.
That's sort of like us asking people to do podcasts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, it works. I'm here. It took a
does
few
work.
tries, but
Yeah,
I'm here.
That's all right.
But no, so what ended up happening, so this was an HR conference. And so people would come up and say, "Hey, what does Chocolate Soup do?" And I'd say, "Well, we'll get to that, but what are the top 3 things you're working on this year?" And they'd be like, "Oh, employee retention." Like I could have guessed what it was going to be. Right?
Yeah.
Employee retention, attraction, and like culture, whatever. Like not saying they're not important, but there were
but it's always the
key
standard,
themes that
yeah.
are going to be pretty close.
That every company sucks at.
Yeah. And then I'd say,
And that
"Cool,
they
I can
hire
help."
a lot of people to manage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Well, and then so then I say, "Cool, I can help you with 2 of those things, and here's how." Because I knew that if the thing that everybody misses, or I shouldn't say everybody misses, a lot of people miss, is everybody is just scared of losing their job. And the reality is, if you understand how they're incentivized, which is what are you working on this year, and you show them a path to how you're going to help them solve that, you have won, and they don't know it yet. Because in their minds, they're forming a relationship between achieving the goal and you. And as stronger that gets, they'll find a way to find the budget. Like these are all like all the noise and the complaints. But that's a Grant Cardone thing, like 101 on sales psychology. So we ended up working with, at the time, it was the largest customer he ever got, had ever worked with. And it was like the oldest company that you would never believe would be into like Lego figurines and employee appreciation. And if I'd have pitched them the normal way, there's exactly no way that would have went. But because she understood the path to kind of getting what she needed, we closed it. So that was fun. And then I started working there for a bit, but I knew and he knew it too. Like it wasn't like I was good at it, but that wasn't going to be my final kind of resting spot. And he, at that time, got hired to be an executive coach to a company here called Swift Labs, to Lara Swift. And he's like, "Hey man, they need a lot of help, like sales wise. Can you come in and do some things?" So, got there and realized that it was a serious situation. Like we needed to take a lot of drastic actions to turn this thing around.
What were they doing?
They were an engineering design services firm.
Right.
So I knew nothing about engineering design services. Like there's one time I shit you not, I'm on a call with a prospect and he goes, do you guys do like custom embedded code? And I was like, I leaned into Dan. I was like, what the fuck is that? And he's like, software, we do it. I'm like, yeah, absolutely, for sure. And the funny part was they had amazing engineers, like unbelievable.
Yeah.
They just needed a sales process.
Was this out of U of W?
No. These were all ex-BlackBerry people.
Okay.
And they were like phenomenal. Like they're the top
Was it a husband
talent.
and wife team?
Yeah, it was.
Oh,
yeah.
and then he passed, right?
He didn't pass. No, he's nope. Nobody passed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm starting rumors. I try to start a rumor on every podcast.
Well, success.
That's the
Yeah.
one. He's
No.
still alive, everybody. Don't worry.
Yeah, both still alive. Won't get into their situation, but it was dire. It took a lot of work. We managed to turn it around, and then got it sold to Blackline Safety. And in that journey, I met Curtis McBride, who became my co-founder at the next company. Because, well, long story short, Swift was a tenant in Catalyst, and then we had to exit that lease, and that's how I met Curtis.
Yeah.
Is negotiating how we were going to do that. And I said, hey, 2 weeks later, I was like, hey, would you be a mentor? Total fucking flyer.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, all right. I was like,
What?
shit, okay. I went fishing and caught one. Okay.
Now what do I do?
Yeah. So I was like, all right. So we met monthly for 2 years, and then when the deal, and he gave me a lot of good advice through that. And when the deal went through, I said, hey man, I'm tired of making other people money. Like I'm going to do my own thing. I'm not going with the deal. So he's like, well, do you ever want to be Mario Kart in real life? And I was like, well, it's kind of fun. Like, what would that be like? And so I bought a Oculus headset and a battery powered go-kart in my basement and watched like 300 hours of YouTube to figure out how to hack the Oculus headset telemetry data so that I could build a demo where you could actually be in a world I had created, parallel park and do all kinds of cool stuff, but on a real go-kart. And that got us investment pretty quickly because people were like, holy shit. And so we co-founded that with Curtis and Amber, which was super fun. We did that for about 2 years. And then met Ellen, and then everything kind of changed. But I don't know if we're at that part of the podcast yet, because that's going to turn pretty businessy pretty quick.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just enthralled. So I just love following your story.
And I'm glossing
and I
over
know
stuff,
all these
so.
guys. I know you're glossing over a lot, and there's a lot of like you were at Swift Labs.
Yeah.
You helped. They were sold.
Yeah.
You're negotiating the lease.
Yeah.
How's life at home?
So that was pre-kids. Well, that's not entirely true. The first half, which was really hard, was pre-kid, and then once the ship was a little more righted, it was a lot easier. But it was hard because I had a newborn and I had a company that needed a lot of my attention, and we were negotiating big deals with like major carriers and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And I didn't take care of myself the way that I probably should have because I just burned it at both ends just to try to get through. Kept telling myself like, "Okay, this is going to get easier,
soon.
right?" Yeah,
Get easier.
This is the bullshit
Yeah.
you tell yourself.
Yeah.
But,
It's the bullshit they want you to tell yourself.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, luckily the sale did come, which thank God. But that was a year and a half in the making. So that like people think you sell a company quickly, maybe, but this one took a year and a half. And basically how it was I'll never forget the conversation I had with him.
Did you have shares in this company? Options or any?
Yeah, we'll skip over that part. Yeah.
Why is that a
Yeah.
good thing or a bad thing?
I'll let you decide. The basically what happened though was I had this call with he was a client of ours, and I said, hey, you should buy us. We're for sale. And he's like, yeah, I don't know, whatever. So I waited a year. Well, in that time I closed a $2.5 million deal with TELUS. And so I called him again. I said, every year you wait, it just gets more expensive. So like at some point, dude, you got to bite. And that was good timing for them. They had just done some hiring and they were looking to grow, and we were able to make a deal that everybody was super happy with. And the investors I'm still very good friends with in Swift were very thrilled because they thought there were points where they thought their investment was just going to be a tax write-off. I won't name names, but there's an individual who said, like, can you just take it out back and shoot it so I can get my tax write-off? Like, let's move on. And I was just like, but I think we can save it. And that's been my whole journey is always like, yeah, okay, everybody thinks it's dead. Well, I'm gonna show them. And had some great clients and great opportunities and really worked together. And it was scary and not easy and hard. And there were days where I wondered what the hell I was doing and why I was doing it. But I was addicted to it. Like it's addicting to turn things around. Like I staved off a lawsuit. I'm gonna watch what I say here. But there was a lawsuit that I won't name names for the sake of it. But effectively, there was a lot of money owed, and so they said, "Hey." Director of sales called me and said, "Hey, man, legal's writing a letter, just so you know." And I said, "Well, hey, the only good thing about being near bankruptcy is you can declare it. And so if are we at a point where we can talk or not?" And he said, "No, we can talk." So I got on the phone with our legal team and I said, "If you guys do this, you are guaranteed to get pennies on the dollar. If you give us a little bit of breathing room, you might actually get all of it back." And we came up with a plan that they didn't like. They didn't think we were paying fast enough. And I said, "I'm going to pay you what I can pay you. But the reality is, like, we're on my terms here. And like you extended the credit. So therefore, like, they didn't steal it. So at the end of the day, you guys made a decision too. So we kind of co-own this thing. And before we were sold, they were paid back completely. And so everybody walked away really happy. And obviously that works. So it's always, but that was just so crazy. Like, it was wild. Like I had never done this, and nobody else was going to do it. So I had to renegotiate balloon payments with the bank.
Ignorance is bliss. Ignorance really helps because it makes you listen
exactly
louder.
Absolutely, and you just kind of not having options is this weird thing that it just kind of, you can't fail. Like, you just got to figure it out. Like, there's not that many moves you got to make. You just got to figure out which ones you're going to make and how. And that's, I mean, not that you asked, but like, that's what I struggle with my son is like, how do I teach him? How do you teach somebody that? Right? Because I kind of want him to be a chip off the old block, but I don't want him to have any version of the story
what you had to go through to get there.
Exactly.
See, can you do that without the experience?
That's my big question.
That's the big question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard. He's a hell of a negotiator.
It's not easy, but it's not impossible either because you are who you are, and he's part of you.
Yeah.
And in the end, that's the thing that comes through the most.
Yeah.
And I have a 14-year-old, so I've been down that path of being an entrepreneur with your own little baby that's not doing well, and it didn't do well for a long time, and suffered all the consequences of that.
Yeah.
But you get to explain and show them later how these things came about, and they. They're on their own tangent too, because it's not like they're you.
Exactly.
They're just a part of you.
That's right.
And there's all these other distractions that take them down the road. Like, my kid ended up being an athlete. And so I get to immerse myself in his world, and it's amazing to see the level of performance.
Yeah.
But that neither one of us were that way. So
I think it's also a mistake to try to make no,
you can't make them
agree
into
with you.
anything. Yeah.
But you can't make them into anything. You have to allow them to become something.
Right. And you also have to be clear that these things that you're going through or feeling, we have empathy in because we're the same DNA.
Yeah.
Now, whether they transform it into how you did or do it a different way, that's what we don't know.
Right.
So there's parts of it that you do engage with that that's you that you're engaging with, but it's a different version of you.
Yeah.
But you can't control it either. So you it's natural. It just comes natural in each challenge. You have that opportunity to kind of meld again and be father son.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's
But it's important to let them fail.
100%.
That's what I think. Yeah, they need to fall down.
They need to fall down, scrape,
and know that they can fall down. But you'll get them. But like, I think that's part of the problem now is we don't let kids fall, and we catch them before they fall. But it's important to feel the pain. It sucks.
It's
but
sad.
you got to.
That's why we have so many kids with mental health issues.
So I didn't do that.
What's that?
My kid was running down the driveway in the neighbor's yard, and I was like, "Oh my God, look, he's gonna." And he wiped out. And did a face plant and scraped his whole face up. And we're selling our house at the time, and she's doing a showing.
Oh no!
And I show up with the bloody kid. He fell.
Oh jeez.
So they have to fall. They have to learn. And then you know what? He never felt like that again.
Well, that's it.
He knew how much it hurt.
Well, one of the funniest arguments I had with my wife, and she's gonna be pissed I'm talking about this maybe, but she called me and she's like, "Liam's using the drill. Like, you left your drill where he could get it." And I said, "Was he using it safely though?" And she's like, that wasn't the point. And I'm like, well, I taught him how to use it. So he knew what he was doing. And if you ask him at 3.5, how many points on a ladder, he would tell you 3. And so I'd let him climb it. Like, I believe that they need to understand the risk and they need to understand what they're doing. And within reason here,
Yeah.
like we're talking a 4-foot ladder and I'm beside him.
Yeah.
But it's like you have to understand the why and the how and then do the thing. Because if you don't do that part, then it's really hard learning. So ideally, you kind of help them out a little.
I've got 60-year-old buddies who don't know how to use the frickin' drill. So I think you're doing a good job there, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've coddled our kids too much. Not us. I made my kids go to Steve for music lessons. So if that's not
Punishment
painful
enough.
and punishment enough,
It's funny.
it was the best experience in life. He made them get on stage in front of thousands of people.
Very cool.
And they learned a lot. But yeah, that's the thing. I see these kids, these parents. I also see, you talk about your son. It's like second generation and then third generation. We see that in the investment world. These families who have first generation built this massive empire, and then you get their kids who come in.
Yeah.
And they just don't get it, but there's enough momentum there that their parents made, created, developed. They're able to swing through it. It's by and large the third generation that fucks it up royally.
Yeah, but they're the
Because
best ones to
they've-
buy businesses from.
Absolutely.
This guy knows.
They're phenomenal people.
Hey, man, brother, let's not let the secret out. They won't listen to this one anyways. So, oh, that's brilliant. So, all through this time, you talked about people like Curtis McBride and Amber and Sylvester, Dan and Chris? Or just both of them, right?
Dan and then Chris will come soon in the story. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So these are guys that you bump into that really play pivotal.
Huge.
Pivotal.
Yeah.
I just had a gummy, so pivotal.
Blah,
pivotal.
blah, blah.
Oh, I should get in this podcast business. They're very important to you. So,
I was gonna say, well, you got a face for radio, so that adds
I
up.
sure do. I got everything for radio.
We can all agree on that.
That's
Thanks,
funny.
guys. Oh, you're good for my self-esteem. So all these people, these important people that come in at various times in your life, you're ready to listen.
Yeah.
You mentioned that earlier. They're ready to help. How important has that been?
It's everything. I mean, it's you don't realize it in the moment because you're kind of especially at Swift because I was surviving, and then building a company. But like I got introduced, Amber and Curtis opened up their network to me. Like I knew nobody in Kitchener.
Oh, they're beautiful people.
They're awesome, and I met one of the investors. Well, they're all great, so I should say that. But Mike and I went for a 3-hour walk for him to decide to invest. And that was my first real showing. And he wanted to know who I was as a person. He cared. I'm not going to say he cared nothing about the idea or the business plan. He did. But
Mike
Jensen, great person.
Dude,
he's my favorite human alive.
Yeah, mine. I've only met him a couple times, and I wanted to talk to him about something, and he wanted to go for a walk in the woods, and we haven't figured that out yet.
Yeah, he's such good people.
Yeah.
He really
You
is.
can tell.
But you alluded to something that you've now reiterated in a different way, is that the same way that you like to surround yourself with the people that you need to engage with first to understand if they're on the same wavelength that you are. That's what they did with you.
100%.
So the names that you've dropped were all people that saw something in you, had that, and it's, we breed and then they show up.
Yeah.
And so you can tell when one of these people walks into your life, and whether you can, bring them onto your team or collaborate with them.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity that they can detect, and they found it in you,
100%.
which in turn you are now doing with others.
That's it. And that's exactly how I met Ryan, who's the co-founder of Gambit now too. We'll get into that, but to your exact point, that's how that happened.
Yeah, they're made people. This type of breed of people that are founders and creators. Yeah. They find each other somehow and you can detect them a mile away once you're near them.
Yeah.
It's weird because you don't know before you meet them. You don't know.
Correct.
But then all of a sudden you're in a room, you're in an environment with them, and all of a sudden, and you say you don't even remember how you talked to them or how you got to meet them. But it didn't matter. It was going to happen either way.
100%.
Because it was just meant to be in that sense. And I see it in my world, coffee, the same thing. And you surround yourself with bright young minds because anything can be taught.
Or old minds.
We don't count you, Bill.
Come on, man.
He said bright.
Oh,
But the point is that you have these people that just shine through the fog,
Exactly.
and you're like, oh, and you and then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you
100%.
have to test it.
Absolutely.
has your trust been destroyed at any time? Like you had a buddy, obviously you mentioned him, the master electrician.
Yeah.
Other times?
Oh yeah. I mean, trust. It's one of those things where I got to a point, which is a sad way to live. I just assumed you were going to screw me. I just didn't know how yet. And then had to, start to think about, they didn't screw you for like 2 years. Or can we maybe stop thinking about that? Part of the hypervigilance part, that was like on steroids. But I think I have this really weird thing that I do is most mornings, I won't say all because I want to try to avoid absolutes, but I just assume everybody around me that I love dies. And then what happens with that is like whatever happens that day, if it's not that, it's not any worse. So it puts a lot of things in perspective. Like, somebody said something that wasn't cool, or like maybe we missed a deadline, or a client's pissed at us, or whatever it is. Okay. I mean, yeah, that sucks and we're going to deal with it, but like nobody died. So it's kind of because if not, you get caught in the firefight and you start to lose sense of what's a big fire, what's a small fire, and your adrenaline's firing. So you don't know which way is up by the end of it. And if you're not careful, you're spiraling. So I really, and I'm not perfect at this. Like I am every day trying to be a work in improvement. But yeah, it's been a lot trying to figure out how to not lose the parts of me that make me, but how to then work on the pieces that like I know are known deficiencies. Like I know, well, we talked about it at the start. Like, so I've been sober from alcohol for almost 11 months, almost a year in December 20th. And like, I'm all gas, no brakes. Like that's what makes me good as a founder is I will just go through the wall and figure out what we need to do. The problem is when your greatest asset is your greatest weakness if you're not careful. And so point me at an open bar and I'm not driving and kids were taken care of, I'll drink everything that's there. And, I used to tell myself in moderation, I can figure this out. It's just not who I am. I'm not a moderate person. So I realized quickly, but then I like, are people still going to like me? Because like everybody kind of knows me as the guy who has a good time. So like, and everybody loves to have a beer with Pat, but now I'm not having a beer. So how does that work? And like, am I going to lose the creativity that I had? Because like I had a lot of really great ideas when I was hammered. So was that gone? And there was this kind of really scary kind of process that you go through.
We talked about it with Dan O'Toole.
Oh, cool.
He went through that too.
It sucks.
It sucks.
I mean, it's
big.
worth it. Don't get me wrong, but it sucks.
Yeah, and he came out the other side. And he had a lot of support. And
well, what's wild is, and we can get into it, we built a tool for sobriety, and I was building it while getting myself sober, which was insane. And we did a whole podcast on that with the team in California. But Ryan was trying to figure out how to support me, and he was using the tool that we were building. Like it was
this around mental health too? Like, is that
yeah. So this one was. The two tools are called Chaddick and Ask Ava Marie. And the idea is Ava Marie, well, they run a treatment center, and Ava Marie's an ex-WWE star, basically wrestling star. And they both struggled with addiction and got into treatment recovery and been very successful. And what was really cool is the problem when you're recovering is you kind of become like a child again, which is like you need constant kind of, the way I put it is like every micro decision leads to a big decision. If you don't get the micro right, you're not going to get the macro right. And so, sponsors are important, but at the end of the day, they're not always available. And so what we wanted to build with them was this concept of you can get 24/7 support. And if you need something, like if you are interested in treatment center, then it will guide you to their center for a call. But it's support first, and like it's not sales. Like
right.
it's
yeah.
So I was literally building it while trying to figure out like I remember I asked a chat addict, I'll never forget this. I'm like, is it normal that I'm depressed? Like I fucking don't care about anything. Like I literally don't. And it was so, I'll never forget the message. He was like, hell yeah, that's normal. You're at 5 months sober. Like this is all part of it. And
it's a grieving process. We talked about this before, and I've been with people and I've helped them through the program. And even Dan O'Toole is like, why the fuck aren't we talking about this?
Yeah.
Especially with it doesn't have to be men, women, but men in particular just don't talk to each other. Absolutely don't talk about their weaknesses.
Yeah.
And it's something that Dan O'Toole's trying to build a whole massive community of men talking to men for that purpose.
Well, we're products of a different age where it was not, your parents probably didn't talk about the soft side of things for men.
Definitely not.
Because there was, that was a weakness.
Yeah, exactly.
And so the weakness had to be, squashed.
Yeah.
And that was the mentality that, I grew up in a blue collar town, and there was no fuzzy feelings for men. That was, you were weak and punishable. So we've come a long way where we can now actually have the conversations of the things that really do hurt us and shouldn't have to. Yeah. But it's come with change.
So you're going through this grief process. You're in the depression stage.
Yeah.
And they're telling you what?
So just the fact that something that had experience told me that it was normal
right
in that moment made a massive difference.
Right.
Because it understood me. It got it. It was like, yeah, well, fuck, obviously you're going through. And it's like, oh shit. Okay.
I'm allowed to feel this way?
Yeah, like I'm not a snowflake. Okay, like, all right, everybody goes through this. Got it. And the way that we had built it was is very personality driven. So it's Chad's personality coming through like in spades and referencing his own life and what he struggled with. And like, I remember being like, I don't think I have a problem. Like I have one. And then if I have two, then I probably have four. And then by the end of it, we drank a 2-4 and then whatever else. And he was like, yeah, I used to think that. It was like, I'll never forget the one answer it said. It's like, you have one, you have two, and then it's Tuesday, and the next thing you know, it's Thursday. And you're like, yeah, but like it's 24/7. Like I just texted it all the time. And it was surreal to be building the back end of this thing and using the front end of it, like as two different people almost.
So how do you wrap your mind around?
It's fucked.
The sentient. No, but like an honest question from an old guy is how do you wrap your head around the sentient response you're getting from the one side versus the tool building mechanical aspect of the other side, and that both answers. Yeah. That's a tough.
It's an art because I think I talk about this a lot. Like building out of like AI that like good AI, not like the crappy FAQ type things, but it's a science and art, and you have to have both. And that's why, like we want to deal. I'll be careful what I say here, but they bought a company that had 100 engineers, and they still haven't launched anything. But if you gave 100 like artists the same time, you still wouldn't have a tool. And that's where we'll get into how Gambit's created. Yeah, Gambit is this intersection of this.
I am so glad you said that because we're about founders, we're about musicians, and it's the lab. We bring them together. It's the art of the start. It's the engineering, but it's the artistry. It's the music, and it's that creativity with the complexity.
Yeah.
That's anyways. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah,
we didn't prompt you on that, but that's exactly what we live for.
And it's hard to like because people say, "Well, what's the different? Like, what makes you different?" And we'll get into Gambit in a minute. But it's like it's hard to explain. But it's you need the three of us, and you need that tension, and you need the insanity to get to the other side, but you need the trust, and you need there's so many to try to replicate us is not impossible because there's other teams that do what we do, but it's really hard.
I've always said this about BlackBerry, about RIM
Yeah.
in the early days. It's like Mike had the engineering. He loved to build things. But Jim had not necessarily the social side, but the people, the understanding, the need side.
Yeah.
He had the creative art side of it.
Yeah.
And he was able to figure out who is this going to be purposeful for?
Yeah.
And he went to the banks in New York and found this is their motivation. They need access to information. Yeah. If we can make this thing work for that thing.
Exactly.
But on their own, Jim couldn't have gone, sold that, and then tried to get an engineer to build it.
Never.
And Mike could never have tried to sell it on his own.
100%.
And it's that combo, the engineer and the artist, which is what you guys are, which is what we are. I mean, Steve's definitely the engineer and artist.
What's your point again, Bill? Why are you here?
Why am I here?
What am I in this equation? The batteries?
No, you're the coffee and
batteries.
we need a room.
I'm just
You're the space and the batteries.
I'm the power cord.
Yeah.
Hey, without me, you can't do anything.
That's right. We don't want to do anything. Yeah. So going back, you're struggling with this this art side of who you are and what you're doing, and you're understanding yourself.
Yeah.
That's a revelation that because you're not like a whole lot of people and you've always tried to define yourself on what you've seen out there, internalizing it and understanding I am a bit different, but it's okay to be different.
Yeah.
And it's actually makes life a whole lot more fun and easier and maybe chaotic, but
well, a great friend of mine, so I remember, feeling the odd man out, and I remember telling her like, "Hey, I don't feel normal. Like I don't feel like I belong." And I'll never forget at the time what she said. She's like, "When the fuck did you ever want to be normal?" and it was just it kind of hit me. I was like, "Shit, never. Fuck. What the fuck why am I trying to fit into something that I never wanted to fit into anyway?"
Yeah.
And I think, you need sometimes those people that can give you the context in the way that you kind of understand it. Because I mean, if we want to go all the way dark, like there was a period where like it came close to even ending my life not that long ago, because sobriety is a bitch. Because I ended up getting therapy, but what I didn't realize at the time is I was medicating with alcohol, and I took the medicine away. And just tried to
cold
fucking
turkey.
white label or like white glove, white knuckle, life.
Yeah.
And with no backup plan.
With no coping mechanisms beyond
nothing.
Because your coping mechanism was the alcohol.
100%. And I had misunderstood my dependency on it.
Right.
Because I mind over matter things and I'm hard-headed as hell. So I remember the therapist was like, "Wait a minute, and then I got diagnosed with like complex PTSD, which I didn't even know was a thing." And she's like, "You got sober. You just decided to do this. You have complex PTSD." She's like, "Your willpower is unreal. Like the fact that you're going," she's like, "Most people that are even through this can't get sober. Never mind. You were just like, well, fuck it. I'm not going to drink anymore." It's a very me kind of a thing to do. But yeah, it was. I mean, you get low, and if you're not careful and you don't surround yourself with the right people, it can be pretty bad.
This is all during Gambit.
Yeah, this is
the beginning, early stages.
This is this year.
This is this year.
Yeah,
but Gambit's only
2 years
2 years old.
Yeah.
So
it's young. Yeah. But it's like in the stage where Gambit's doing the best it's ever been.
Right.
And I'm looking for the exit path.
Right.
And that was I was a lot. Like when I knew it was bad, is I had explained to my wife how I was going to explain to my son why I was going to do it.
Yeah.
And that's the moment where I was like, holy fuck.
Kids sort of help put things in perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, your responsibility for kids.
Yeah, 100%.
How old are you now?
I'm 37.
So it makes sense but like we all, I mean, looking backwards 30 years, 25 years, been there in dark places. I came up through different ropes. I wasn't in tech. I was in banking before I did all this. Restaurant business as well, but that's a tough life to come out of.
Huge.
So when you start in that world, it's a world of abuse. It's a world of abusive behaviors, about pride, and like it's just a dog eat dog world. So it's a hard lesson, and especially when you're younger, it's really difficult to find the perspectives that you need to make the decisions that you need going forward. But you're at that age where now you're gaining that insight. So the fact that you made it through that gauntlet, it just makes you stronger, and it makes you
100%.
It's sounds like it's going to be a great success, going forward too, for your business, for your partnerships. It's going to be the best.
Doesn't kill you.
Yeah, exactly. You've refined yourself into a better version the hardest way possible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's excellent.
We need to get into Gambit.
Okay.
Unless this is going to become a two-parter, but
It's up to you guys.
no,
I'm curious about Gambit, so I want to know more.
I think a lot of people are struggling to understand AI and its value, and especially when we're talking about a so-called AI artist getting a contract with Billboard and making tons of money, and basically telling the rest of the real musicians that they're secondary to the whole world, that all of their training and everything they ever did was a waste of time. That's how I think a lot of people are looking at AI. They're afraid of their jobs being replaced. Yeah. But your approach is considerably different than anything else that we're talking about in AI. So was Ask Ellen your first sort of endeavor? I remember Ryan and I were talking before you even started all this stuff, and we were sort of noodling, what we're going to do in our lives, and he was throwing around AI, and we're going, I don't know, but do it, man.
Well, there's a cool backstory there. So I think it's worth telling the story of how Gambit got going, because I think it ties into everything we've talked about.
The origin story. I want to know, how did this start?
So I was at the virtual reality company, and we were doing a video shoot for Disney, and I had hired a video company, whatever, and I wasn't happy. And Amber was like, "Oh, Ryan is really great at this. I wonder if he would help." And I just basically conned him into coming and helping, because I was like, this is shit and I need better. And then I watched him go. And to your point, they have a different aura about them. Yep. And as soon as that took off, I'm like, shit, that guy's pretty cool. Like I could probably do some things with him.
And you two are similar characters, by the way.
But also, they're the most human people you meet.
100%.
Because you have them on this pedestal of excellence or whatever, and you kind of kept them up there on the shelf. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you have a chance to interact with them, and then not only are you on the same level, you're on the same wavelength, you can ask questions and get responses in the wavelengths that you're expecting, 100%. And it just clicks, and you're like, why did I have him on a pedestal at all? It's just a cool human that 100%. I needed to interact. Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, yeah. He's as flawed as I am, which is awesome.
Yeah. But he's great. He's awesome.
Yeah. So then him and I get to chatting, and we talk every once in a while, whatever. And then I'll never forget. So ChatGPT comes out in November of that year. We both use it. And the same day it came out, we messaged each other. It was almost like, it was cute. It was almost the same time. It's literally. And it was dude, holy shit. And we both said, I remember thinking I was too young for the internet, too young for mobile. As soon as I used it, it was a shit answer because it was a basic model, relatively speaking. But the fact that it could do it changed everything. So him and I kicked around, what does that future look like? And we had no real idea. Or plan, quite frankly. And then I met Ellen. So we talk about these micro collisions. Mm-hmm. Ellen was, at the time, the virtual reality company was part of the Accelerator Center. So she was a mentor. So we get to chit-chatting, and I ask weird questions. But she said, hey, because I was like, well, what makes you a mentor? Kind of just... if I'm going to listen to you, what is your story? And so I said, well, I just survived breast cancer. And I was like, shit. Oh,
that's a good answer.
Yeah. Oh, you just got very real. And she said, and I just wrote a book. I said, you wrote a book? Why'd you write a book? She said, well, I wanted to be a girlfriend's companion. I said, okay, I get that. Shared lived experience. Okay. But I was like, isn't that what Facebook's for, though? And again, I realize how silly that comment is in hindsight, but it's an important question. And she said, well, that's what everybody thinks until you get diagnosed. Because where you are on your journey is unlikely to be where that group is. And that group is not moderated. So they can be anger echo chambers. They can be very sad. And if you just got diagnosed, you may not be willing or ready to see that somebody passes away from it. And my aunt died of breast cancer. So I remember sitting back and being like, okay, you get diagnosed. You're the most vulnerable you've ever been. And the best we're offering you right now is wear a helmet and go to Facebook. We ought to be able to do better than that. So I said, hey, I don't know what we're going to do. I have no plan. But if you send me your manuscript, I only need one agreement from you, that it will be free forever for everybody forever. If you sign up to that and you agree to it, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my network behind it. We're going to have some fun. And she was like, okay. And that was our chance encounter. She didn't know me from a hole in the wall. I didn't know her. She sent it to me. Well, I read it. And then I started to think, what if you could build an AI personality that was on top of the book? What would that look like? And then, something called RAG had just come out, which was this whole idea of like AI over documented knowledge. And I was like messing around with that. So I was getting up at like 2:30 or 3 in the morning, and it was like the original vibe coder of like using AI to try to run things, and then it would tell me, and then I'd error, and then I'd go back and forth, and it was painful. But it, the hello world was cool. Like it wasn't great. It was not Ask Ellen as you know it, but the very beginning of it was like, holy shit. And so I showed Ryan, and he was like, holy fuck, this is cool. And he'll admit this. There were periods where he saw it, like he kind of got it, and then other periods where he's like, I don't think anyone's gonna get this. Like this is weird, man. Like this is weird.
It is weird, but
it's super weird.
It's the world we live in.
Yeah, and so this is where serendipity kind of really takes an interest. So Chris, Dan's brother, they had lost their mom tragically in a car accident earlier in the year. And then later in the year, not long after, Chris got laid off from Shopify.
Right.
And he was like, hey man, are you at the bar at the office? Near the office, he knew I worked at Catalyst 137. And I was like, yeah, man. So he told me what happened. He said, we're going to sleep with my brothers. I'm done. We're going to drink our faces off and cool. So somewhere in the Bourbons, he said, I need AI experience to get a job. I was like, well, fuck, dude, I got this free project. Like, I can't pay you, but I got this thing that if you help me build it, you can show up to interviews with a thing that you actually built that like no one else is going to do. So fuck it, you'll get a job. Like, this is great. I'll get what I want. You get a job. Barter
Brilliant.
system. This works.
Nice.
So he's like, all right. So he's like, what the fuck are you doing anyway? He's like, I don't get, like, what? And then I showed him kind of my version of a prototype, and he's like, what the fuck are you? This is like, how are you using technology? Like, how you made this work blows my mind. You don't understand enough of this, and you're not even using it right. Like, it kills him when I showed him how I was using like the IDE. He was just like, it's like a 4-year-old using, how do you do this? But I'm like, look, I got it to, like, it does this kind of thing. So him and I started working on it, and then that was really cool, and a really cool moment where it was clear that there was something happening. Like
So
the way
he had stuff to contribute.
Oh yeah,
He recognized how it could work. He saw
technical.
the value of it beyond the.
I think in time, it's everybody thinks it's like everybody saw it and was like, "Oh my god!" It's actually not quite. Again, incentive.
The
if you
first one,
understand-
like the initial prototype, or what do you mean?
Well, if we remember, right, if you understand incentive, you can predict behavior. He wanted to get a job.
Yes.
So he was going to build this thing as great as he could, both because he thought maybe I'll do something with it, but the more immediate path was I need a job.
Right.
And so what he brought to it was this every ounce of his technical ability because it was going to be the masterpiece for when he was going to get a
Because he
job.
had to show it.
Right.
So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
has to be good
Yeah,
if
so
I want the
It can't
job.
be a grade 4 version.
Yeah, and I'm not suggesting that he was against Ask Ellen in any way, but,
No,
but
you really have to understand it. Like, you have to understand the impact that it's going to have on the consumer.
exactly. And so we start doing that, and that's all going well. And then Ryan, God bless him, is the feelings guy. So basically, how the company now works is Chris is very technical. He's the technician all day long. He's the engineer. Ryan is the creative, and then I'm weirdly in the middle. I'm dangerous enough on the tech to do things, and I'm creative enough to kind of hold my own. So I'm in this weird intersection of tension where all roads kind of lead to me. So I remember because Chris was like, dude, people aren't going to use this. And Ryan was like, at some point, and even Ellen herself at some point doubted that anyone would do this. And I was like, no, guys, just fucking trust me. So we sat with I'm going to be very careful not to name names, but I so desperately want to. We sat with a patient advocacy group for a hospital. And at this point, Ask Ellen wasn't quite what she is now, but she was good.
Yeah.
And the patients cried. And I was like, fuck, I know this. Like, I can tell we're onto something. But the board wouldn't sign off and they wouldn't do anything. And I'm like,
no, the liability in their heads was going.
And I remember having to sit down with Ellen, and I said, Ellen, we're on the non-medical side of this. We're on the human side. We don't need their fucking permission. We're going to do this. I don't give a fuck.
Nice.
Like, we're just doing this. And I said, like, we're not going to break any laws, but like, I don't care if a hospital sees it, doesn't see it. I don't care if a doctor likes it.
Right.
Because you know
shit.
you're not giving prescriptions.
Well, and I'm not building it for them, so I don't give a shit what they think.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need that vibrato of like, I don't care.
Yep.
Like, and so I should probably like the ignorance thing, like in hindsight. And so Ryan was like, hey, October 22nd, I think it was, we're launching this thing. Because the thing with Chris and I is we'll just keep going. Because without some kind of like time constraint, we'd still be working on Ask Ellen. And he recognized that, but he knew how to put us in the right amount of time. So we launched Ask Ellen, and that was one of the most impactful nights of my life, I would say.
Was that the event you did at Catalyst?
Yeah.
And you had all of the survivors?
Yeah. We had a lot of...
That was heavy.
Yeah, it was a lot. And I remember being at the back of the room, and the part that it just crushed me in an important way was they asked of the survivors would stand up, and like 75% of the room stood. And there were people I had spoken to that stood up that I had no idea. And I started to realize, like, we think we understand other people when you look at them, but you have no fucking clue what they're going through.
Yeah.
And then we got up and talked about it, and the story, and I got choked up, which I don't usually do, but it was just the magnitude of it all kind of hit me. Because I'd built products and done things for money. I'd never done it where somebody cried for what I'd done.
Yeah.
And that activated something in me that I think is second to none. And was just like, fuck, this is going to be big. Like, I fucking know it. Like, and so I'm so excited. Like, we spent no money on marketing. This ran on my credit card for a long time. But the new stats is we have been used in over 100 countries in over 60 languages, and Cigna Insurance just licensed it, which is wild to think of, like, where we started to
It's 2 years later.
2 years later.
Wow.
And what happened was, but it actually served a need. Like the problem, here's the thing we're really good at Gambit is, and I'll get to how we started the company after, is we're really good at identifying a problem and solving it. Yeah. And so the problem was there's no safe space online to get shared lived experience. That was the problem.
Yeah.
Not true anymore. And I remember looking at the metrics with Chris and Ryan was like, you guys don't understand. People, like, this isn't normal. Like, you guys are pissed that, like, we're not getting as much usage. He's like, we have a 42% return rate. We don't fucking target them, guys. Like, are you insane? And like, again, we didn't know. We know nothing about this shit. Yeah, we're just like, I don't know how this works, right? And
we just built that. I don't really know.
Yeah, I don't really know. Like, is that good? Is that bad? Fuck, it should be 100. And so, and that's when we started to be like, oh, holy shit! Like, this is going to be this is serious. Like, what started out And then right about that time, so we launched it in October, and then the results start kind of coming in. And then I start to realize that I want to do something in AI. Like I'm itching. Like I'm still doing a great job at my job, but it's like I'm a co-founder, but it's just not vibing. It's not working. So we come up with a really amicable, good plan for me to exit. And then I sort of free fall for a bit. And then I'm like, hey, boys, like, what do you guys want to do? Should we do this? And they're like, yeah, we should raise money. I'm like, fuck no. I don't want to do that ever again. Not that investors are bad people. Again, incentive predict behavior.
Well, I know what they want.
Well,
this is it, but it's not necessarily what you want.
Correct.
And that's so
and
you
have
can
to
make
divide
a relationship
what you want with what they want, and
Exactly.
now it's half the fun.
And it was fun, right? Because I've had lots of investors, and the first company reached out to me and was like, well, how much do you want? Like, what are you raising?
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to do this way. And so we found our first client, asked Todd, or Todd Bissett, who's a lawyer in town.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, man, like, I love what you guys did over there. With Ask Ellen, can you build me a version of that? And how much is it? And so
you had to figure out.
Well, I'll tell you.
much is it?
Yeah. So literally, I mean, I won't name figures, but I looked at Chris and I was like, how much do you want to make this year? And I looked at, and I said, okay, what's a reasonable number? And then came to Todd and he's like, how did you come up with this? And I was like, honestly, it's Chris and I's salary for the year. I said, the thing is, if you want us to build it, then we have to exist long enough to maintain it. So like we have to.
No, it's okay.
Is that?
Yeah, I think I know the number.
Oh,
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. Yeah.
So that got going. And then, but here's the crazy part. Right around that time is the U.S. government, their aging agency, saw Ask Ellen, was like, we need this for people who are caregiving for those with Alzheimer's and dementia. So next thing we know, we're like a 2.5-month-old company, not even 1.5 month actually. And I'm flying down to North Carolina to meet with the U.S. government on an AI thing. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But I knew something with Ask Ellen is that, I mean, you know, it's. I'd like to take full credit for it that I saw it for what it was at the time, but I didn't. Sometimes you get lucky. I knew that it was going to be a hell of a fucking calling card because nobody else had public facing tools.
You made a demo.
Exactly.
A real live demo that you could say, I can do sort of this for you in your arena. That's what I see a lot of these companies and startups going, I want to sell it right away without a real live demo.
Exactly.
When I had We Create, our first demo was this league management system that was fully integrated. We had 36,000 kids on it in the region within about 5 months. And I knew we were onto something.
Yeah.
But that led us to get all these other projects, Pet Boys. I won't go into that one.
Well, it becomes like it becomes your credibility, right?
Yeah, it does. You have to prove yourself, especially in innovation, any area of innovation.
Oh yeah, and like some of the coolest stuff. Like we and I'm like moving around the timeline here a little bit, but we are at a conference that I can't really get into, but the advisor for AI to the FBI tried to break Ask Ellen.
Right.
Couldn't. Because of the way that we've done the guard railing system and we did some things. And the cool part was like, okay, there's lots of cool moments. So at the time when we built Ask Ellen, everybody was doing this thing called fine tuning, which was you show a model a question and an answer that you like, and you do that millions of times, and the model kind of learns,
Gets
okay,
better.
cool, that's what I'm going to do. That cost millions of dollars. We had $0. And so we had to do it a different way. And so when we looked at it, we kind of figured out that, hey, everybody's kind of looking at it this way, but there's actually a really kind of interesting way to look at it. And when it dawned on me is Lenovo flew me out to their executive briefing center to be like, what the fuck did you guys build? Like, what is this? And their CTO was like, how much fine tuning did it take? And I was like, none. He pestered me for 45 minutes to try to figure out how the hell we had done it because he just didn't believe it. He thought it was impossible. But through constraints come innovation. And that's where I knew that if we fundraised, well, all of a sudden the constraint wouldn't be the same way.
Right.
And again, investors aren't bad people. I just wanted to run the company in the way I wanted to run the company.
Well, the investors that are necessarily in this area are in it for returns.
I think every investor is. Like, I know there's impact investing.
You've got impact and passion investors.
I think everybody. Anyway, maybe I should be careful, but I think everybody says that until the hard times, and all of a sudden everybody's an investor again.
Yeah.
So I think let's just call it what it is. It's an investment with some version of expected return, whether that's impact on society, whatever. It doesn't have to be profits, but there's an impact of some descript that's expected from a return perspective,
And a timeline.
And that means that
doesn't work with creation and
and we slow played a lot of stuff. Like I remember it's crazy to think about. Like we were taking we did Geotab's AI for their conference, and we figured out the night before that we could add images. And so what this product is like for their sponsorship package. Right now, you'd have to click on like 40 different things and like go and look at the price of it, and then say, okay, cool. Well, that's $4,000. That's $12,000, whatever. It was super manual to for somebody who wanted to sponsor the event. It wasn't easy. So we built an AI. You could be like, I have $36,000 in budget, and I want to build brand awareness. Build me a package, and it would do it, and it would show you the images, and it would show you why I chose it, and all that stuff. And like getting large language models to do math at that time was insane. But now it's easy because there's codecs and there's all kinds of things. Then it was insane. Like I can't even believe we were able to do it. But creativity, like using an artificial intelligence is wild. And it's a paradox because you don't know what it can do until you ask the right question.
Right.
Which is so cool because you can have a lot of fun. I mean, there's scary parts, but like if you ignore that for a second, it's phenomenal because you don't actually know what it can do and what it's aware of, and like you can actually get it to think differently, I'm air quoting, but think differently or behave differently. So we were up to like midnight, got that working, which was cool. And they were like blown away, but we did that for pennies. Like we were just trying to build credibility at that point. Like it was just like, hey, we can put that name on our logo, like giddy up.
Yeah.
And then we just kept parlaying what felt like a paperclip into bigger and bigger things. And then the craziest thing we did, though, which was the scariest thing, and we just talked about it recently, was so we're on our way to a conference to go sell Ask Ashley, which was for the U.S. government. And I see on LinkedIn a Canadian female ARCA NASCAR driver being like, hey, if you want to be part of an underdog story, like, I'm it. And it's just the way that she talked. It just was like, fuck, I want to meet her. Like, I don't know why. I don't know her, but like, damn. So I tell the boys, I'm like, hey, by the way, I'm setting up a call with a driver and FYI. And they're like, you're fucking nuts, whatever. And
that's a daily comment from
them. Yeah. Like, whatever, Pat, sure. We're sponsoring whatever. So we meet with her and I'm like, hey, this is cool. And I get Ryan on and Ryan says, oh shit, we could build Ask Amber, which could be super cool with our other sponsor. And then we start doodling and we're like, oh shit, okay. I bet, well, I shouldn't say the company did, but I mean, it was definitely my crazy betting. 30% of available cash for a startup that is bootstrapped on sponsoring a NASCAR driver. So we decided to do that. And by the time everything was said and done, it was January, and Daytona was in January. So we built her personality, which you could talk to about how'd you get into racing and all these things. And then you can talk to, and you could say things like, hey, well, I need her other partner was an RV parts manufacturer. So like, I need a bedpan, or not a shower pen for whatever this size. And it would bring in the price. It would bring in the link, the image, the how-to videos. Like, it was slick. We did that in 20 days because we had to get to Daytona. And we walked into Daytona like we were the presidents of Daytona. we are so stupid in hindsight.
Talladega Nights.
Yeah. And we put a whole car together. Like, we did the whole wrap for the car. And one of the things that we again, this constant thing of we don't do what everybody else does, we didn't put our logo on the car. We put askamber.io in the car and a QR code. Of course. So that as she went fucking round and round, everybody was going to be like, what the hell is that thing? And go check it out. So we're at Daytona. We're overwhelmed because we're like, here's our fucking NASCAR. We're just taking pictures, but this is insane. But also we somehow belong here. Like, this feels both right and crazy. And Amber WhatsApps me at one point. She's like, get the fuck to the pit right now. I'm like, okay, shit. So the fella John Menard, who is a basically the sponsor of the entire Arca series, and he owns like hardware stores in the Midwest. They're massive. Everybody wants a meeting with them. I don't know who he is, and so she's like, Pat, this is John. Like she tells me before we get there, she's like, everybody wants to meet this guy. He wants to meet you, and it's John from. And she says Menards, but I'm French. I hear Maynards. So I'm thinking candy.
Candy.
Yes, I like candy.
Yeah. So I'm talking to John Menard, not Maynard. And finally he's like, yeah, we sell like, pole barns and different things. I'm like, holy fuck, this is not the candy company, Pat. Shut up. And it was surreal. Like the guy's a billionaire and I don't know who he is. And I, for a second, thought it was a very different company. And the reason that he wanted to meet with us, I found out after, was he said to Amber, what is this AskAmber.io? And she goes, it's this thing that these guys built. He goes, yeah, but where's their logo though? I don't care, like almost like I don't care what it is, but where's their logo? Well, they didn't put it. Did he use this as a product launch? He said, I want to meet them because we think differently. And that's what he wanted. So then we've been like, I have the guy's cell phone number. We chat. We're supposed to fly home. We flew to Wisconsin to their headquarters from the race. It was crazy. We were doing live updates from the pits. Like she spun out. And so we were explaining what happened, low tire, whatever. It was crazy. And then there was a YouTube influencer called Cletus McFarlane, and she unfortunately collided with him during the race. So now imagine the underbelly of America, who follows and big fans of Cletus McFarlane, decide they're going to let Ask Amber know exactly how they fucking feel. So when we say we've battle tested our shit, like come on, like one of my favorite ones though,
the rednecks of the U.S.
Beauty.
It was Merca. It was something. But one of the funniest things, and I can't talk about a lot of what they said because it's just so wholly inappropriate. But one of them, I assume a man must have asked this. Do it jiggle? Was the question that the individual asked, and Ask Amber responded, if you're talking about Icon Direct's fender skirts, they're made of 100% ABS plastic. They're rock solid. And I thought, fuck yeah. Like that's, come on. Like even the guy who wrote that must have been like, checkmate, man. That was good. And that was wild. And then we did Talladega, which was cool. And we've kind of just kept being ourselves and being kind of crazy in what we do. And again, they just became calling cards on calling cards on calling cards.
It's that authenticity. We always talk about the value of it. It's the essence of trust.
100%.
Yeah.
So where's it heading now? So that you've done all these highlights now in the last year, and it's been high upon high upon high.
Yeah. So now we're getting to the fun part where Ryan and I were just talking today, where I don't like this word, but he's right. He's going to love hearing this. We need process, and we need some kind of systems. Because Pat can just run like a crazy person, apparently. But it's scary because it's sort of a departure of like what got you here won't get you there. But I rationally understand it, but emotionally have a hard time with it because.
But it also means bringing in people who aren't quite like you.
That's it. And how do we
building
duplicate
that culture?
But it's funny because you look back and you do need these people around you, and they create friction for you, which is the new way for you to generate the crazy.
That's exactly right.
Believe me, I am on 100% the same page of crazy. That's why I bought a farm in South America. I went there and we sat there with the people next door and said, I want to bring people here and I want to do it as a tourist thing.
Yeah.
So then a year later we own a farm next door. And we bought the land from them and we're taking tours of people to learn about coffee. But it's like that every day for me here, and my staff think I'm crazy, which is great. They should think I'm crazy because you know what? I am crazy. But most people can't. They don't jive with that.
No.
So you have to build a surrounding that's safe, but you do need process.
100%.
And you need people that are really good at those things.
Yeah.
So then you can give them shit all day long, and
100%.
they give you shit back too, and they constrain you in ways that you never expected.
100%.
But it still gives you that opportunity to thrive.
For sure.
So it'll just change the way you thrive. It's not going to take it away from you at all.
100%. And we're growing now in terms of like we've been lucky enough to work with some big brands, but like we were junior, like we were cowboys at this. Like there was no real strategy. It was, hey, the old fuck around and find out. It just happened to work out. And now, like, one of the things we understood is like, okay, well, we sold projects. So it was this idea of I want to build, ask, whatever, right? So we would build it. But then I started
what you kill.
Yeah.
It's not sustainable.
No, because I started to realize, well, wait a minute, if failure of imagination is a big problem with AI, well, then I'm anticipating those people are going to know what they want to build? Like, this is foolish. So again, got some really good guidance from some close people around me who said, you need to start thinking fractional services. Like, I know you don't like consulting, I get it, but if you can embed yourself with a company and they can rely on you to start coming up with the ideas, well, then that can just that's a really good business model for you too. And so now we do that, which is actually like I'm having an absolute blast with it. We have such a great client, and it's been working really well. So we've kind of realized throughout all of this, we sort of operationalize like AI into companies, because the reality is the board's pressuring the CEO to deploy AI or do something with AI. Mm-hmm. And 2024 was the year of like, well, what is AI? 25 was my team can do it. And now we're getting
26 is my team couldn't do it.
Exactly. Well,
it is. Yeah. It's like Microsoft in the, oh man, I remember them getting Microsoft experts.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well, I was certified as a Microsoft
there you go.
expert at
and
one
now
point.
You're a coffee dude.
MSc certified. Yeah. I remember selling email to people back in the early 90s, and sitting on a platform. But like the things that you're talking about, you're standing in front of a crowd of people and you're explaining something that you don't even understand and making them believe that you know what they're going to do with it. And it was super engaging. I mean, this is me, Bogota, 30 years ago. But you take those experiences and you glean off of them the things that made you successful. 100%. And success isn't money. No. In the end, and it was never my driver. So I could be a multi-million-dollar company. That's not what I want. I want my environment, my world, and my safety that I built for me and the ones that are around me.
100%.
And that's good enough. But I mean, you guys are on a growth pattern. You don't know where you're going to get to yet.
It's revolutionary.
It's really interesting to see and to behold. So
and we're having a lot of fun, and we are starting to like we've subtly changed our language, and then all of a sudden you get this new audience that's paying attention and goes like, okay, cool. Like I guess I can't announce it yet. When does this air?
2 weeks.
Yeah, okay. So there's a very big company that's going to announce that we are one of 8 partners that they've chosen to launch products with. This is a company that everybody would be hugely aware of. And we're really excited because when it's one thing to call those companies, but it's a very different thing when they call you.
Yes.
And when they're like, hey, we have this thing that we're trying to do, and we've now finally come to the realization like we can't do it internally. Yeah. We want you to be at the forefront of this, because somehow...
Well, the biggest pain, the biggest challenge is that their employees have worked in their environments for 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Sometimes some employees have come in from outside, but they very rarely have that capacity or capability to bring in anything innovative into it or to change the status quo. When we're talking AI, you're turning things upside down. So what's existing in there, that mindset, really can't exist. It can't remain.
But it's actually worse than that. They're structured to fail.
They are structured
because they're siloed in ways that you need Chris, the technician, Ryan, the creative, and the person in the middle that can translate.
Yeah,
you need that. And
because my wife does that. She's that person in the middle for the bank or for insurance companies.
I mean, you're coming from an area of what you call yourself. What did you say in the beginning? That you were strange, that you were different, you didn't fit in.
Yeah.
That's what you need to add to the equation, because everybody that works there fits in.
They fit the mold.
And so they can't break outside the mold because that's all they know is the mold.
Exactly.
And they can get to the edge of the mold and they think that they're doing wonderful things, but they're still doing it within the structure. So you need the outside influence that's 100%. Going to throw it upside down, backwards and sideways, and then say, look.
Yeah.
And everyone goes, oh.
Yeah.
Right.
But they don't know how to think that way.
And I get on board or get out.
That's it.
Anywho, Our hour-long interview
Yeah.
is almost 2 hours.
Oh, okay. I don't know what time it is.
No, it's incredible. We're not going to split this one up because I didn't even have to ask questions.
Sorry, I just keep talking.
No.
Alex knows
But
if
these
you
are,
give me a mic,
if you
I'm
looked
gonna
at,
go.
If you looked at the questions that I wanted to touch on, you hit every one right after the other. It's like,
Oh,
dude.
wow.
So we're of the same mind.
Appreciate that.
I hope so, man.
Yeah, that's great. Of
But so I got to thank you for coming in, man. Of
course. This was a pleasure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm super stoked. I thought it was amazing. A million more questions that I would ask about AI because I'm old and I still don't understand. Would love to understand more. I'm curious. But I find that you're doing fascinating things. And, you know, I may not understand AI, but I do understand people and I understand vibration and I understand, you know, what people's eyes are telling me. And there's lots of knowledge, insight, forethought. You're careful, you're calculated. All I see is success, and I think it's wonderful. So thanks for coming.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah,
You know, we
thanks for
start
having
these
me.
things and Ed goes, who the fuck is this guy? Like, why should I even give a shit?
Yeah.
And at the end of every one of them, see, I told you. These guys are awesome.
That's fun.
But I am a curious individual.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm just in a small world. So,
All right.
so that's
We're getting
why.
you out of your shell, Ed. You're welcome.
You know.
Out of his coffee bean shell. Well, thanks a lot, guys.
Cool,
Thanks,
thank
Steve.
you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thanks,
Fantastic.
Ed.
Yeah.
And Alex. Alex is
Shout
Did you
out,
fall
Alex.
asleep back there?
she's
No,
back
no.
there. She's part of the Gambit team, and
100%.
and
keeping control.
we had an audience today of Andrew.
That's right. Live
cheer,
audience.
Cheer. There we go.
In front of a live audience.
All right.
Of one.
Okay. Until next time. Thanks, guys.
Right on. Thank you.
Cheers.
You don't need any tricks to treat yourself to the haunted caboose. Possessed by a full body with notes of creepy cacao, phantom peanut, and twilight toffee, it's bound to keep you up at night. Don't let us scare you away from trying our haunted caboose blend. Eco Coffee. Being good, do good with a smile.